Motion to
pass
approve ordinance 2021-6.
Second. Oz.
Okay, we have motion and second, adopting ordinance 2021-6. Any discussion or questions concerning the ordinance? Hearing none, roll call.
Mullins,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Thorne,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Haas,
Yes.
Heister.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then again, too, the next item under old business, I think I'd mentioned prior to you, obviously the BPA requesting bids, or actually requesting quotes, I should say, because it was under the bid limit. Quotes relative to the replacement of the main electrical control panel at the sewer plant. It was in the original portion of the building. Obviously, it was of the age that it's been creating a lot of problems. Every time we had people out, it was rather costly. And also, two parts were becoming much more a problem. The quotes we'd received, we did get 3 quotes. And again, 2, the one that I think was being proposed by BPA that they approved was submitted to you or given to you. It's Millersburg Electric Incorporated. It's for a total of $44,610. Again, you should have received a copy of that. I will let you know that the other quotes received were from Abbott Electric, and it was $49,500. And then Spielman Electric submitted a quote of $57,240. So again, too, BPA's recommendation was to go ahead, and they approved that. But given that this expenditure was not it was not anticipated, obviously, or planned for, it was not a part of our capital appropriations. So I'm going to bring it to you and ask for your approval, obviously, of this expenditure, that the BPA is recommending. So,
Mayor, simple question. Where does the money come from?
in one of the prior meetings, obviously, I spoke with Pam prior to, obviously, when we started looking at this. In one of the prior meetings, we had mentioned that the most recent money that came in relative to the federal government COVID funding is available for water and sewer projects. So we're going to utilize that money, as well as then with that money, we will have money within the sewer fund, capital fund, that we can expend to be able to make this purchase or this improvement replacement. So
I'd like to make a motion that we hire Millersburg Electric for the electric motor panel replacement in the amount of $44,610.
Second.
okay, we have motion and second approving the proposal. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Reed,
Yes.
Thorne,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Haas,
Yes.
Heister,
Yes.
Mullins.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other items of old business that council needs to bring before us? If there aren't any, we're going to move into new business. You should have received a copy of the income tax revenue report that Becky prepares for us each month. As you can see, through April, obviously we are trending very positively, which is a good trend. We're up by $81,000 in collections. But again, too, I think once we get through maybe half a year, we'll probably have a better handle for sure if that trend is going to continue. But again, obviously, it's far better trend than if we were running behind. But again, are there any questions specifically on that report? If there aren't any, then I'll move on to the next item on our agenda. Again, as all of you are aware, we are making available online payments for the utilities for residents to be able to do. But there are certain fees that we may incur as a result of actions by obviously residents. And what we needed to adopt was an ordinance allowing us to recoup the fees that we might obviously incur. Obviously, we currently have a fee schedule, but we never had these types of fees, potential fees that we would need to collect. So that's why Jason prepared an ordinance to allow us to establish a charge for the fees as are seen in the ordinance itself. And again, I did send that to you. Hopefully you got that. It was separate from the agenda. Okay, so if everybody's received that, again, what it is, the Village of Smithville shall charge a fee of $20 for each instance of a credit card chargeback or a credit card dispute, and shall charge a fee of $15 for each instance for an ACH rejection fee for customer insufficient funds charges. And again, this is basically us recouping the fees that we as a village will have to pay as a result of the residents' actions. So again, I guess I would entertain a motion. And again, we can discuss the specifics of it, but at this point, I would request a motion to suspend.
So moved.
And second?
Second.
Okay, we have motion and second. Approving ordinance 2021, or actually just the suspension for ordinance 2021. Any discussion on the suspension? Hearing none, roll call.
Thorne,
Yes.
Allen,
yes,
Haas,
Yes.
Heicher,
Yes.
Mullins,
Yes.
Reed,
Okay. Now I would entertain a motion for ordinance 2021 -7. Again, an ordinance establishing fees for credit card payments and declaring an emergency.
Motion to pass ordinance 2021-7, an ordinance establishing a fee schedule and declaring emergency.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for ordinance 2021-7. Any questions or discussion on the ordinance itself? Hearing none, roll call.
Well, I'm sorry, Mayor, I couldn't come off mute
Sure.
fast enough.
No problem.
Just to confirm, some of these fees on the schedule already existed, and some of them are only new because of the online ability. Is that correct?
That is correct. Because what we're doing is adopting an ordinance, and then I'm going to ask you also by simple motion to adopt the fee schedule, updated fee schedule itself. So that list that you received obviously is a listing of all the fees that we do collect at any given time. And again, it is such that I did throw out to the park committee those fees that fell under kind of their area. And then one of their meetings, they considered whether or not they needed to adjust anything. But I think that they decided to leave everything the same levels they've been. But yes, this fee schedule's been in place. We generally will ask for approval for it when any changes in the amounts itself may change also. So does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Allen,
yes,
Haas,
Yes.
Heicher,
Yes.
Mullins,
Yes.
Reed,
yes,
Thorne.
Yes.
All right. And then as I notated just earlier, I would entertain a motion just adopting the fee schedule with those new items on it. And again, to that way, then it reflects the new updated fee schedule that includes those which we just enacted. I would entertain a motion in a second, and you should have received a copy of that as well.
One question, Mayor.
Yes,
The fee schedule that I see says Village of Smithville Fee Schedule 2018.
yeah, we'll change it
Have we changed?
2021. Yeah, that's the
Okay.
last time that
Okay.
anything would have been changed on it. But I will have her
Okay.
update it and reflective of that. Plus, she did notate that on one of them, I think maybe she fixed it, whether or not she fixed it before. The deposit wasn't spelled correctly at one point, but she did update that, or will update that in the final.
Okay. A motion to adopt the revised fee schedule.
second, Alan.
Motion and second to adopt the fee schedule for 2021. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Haas,
Yes.
Hitcher,
Yes.
Mullins,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Thorne,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other items of new business that council would like to bring before us this evening?
Mayor, I've got one. I was at a sporting event last week, and I ended up talking to the school board president, current school board president, and we've been friends for years now. And he was just asking me what the village and yourself and the council was aware of regarding some property changing they were engaged with the city of Worcester, and if we are aware of it, I guess as the first question. And then secondarily, he was interested in the impact it might have had on the village of Smithville, and I gave him a high level overview of what we had been working with between the county and the city of Worcester. And in the point of the story is to say, he offered himself up as school board president, or Mr. Frank, obviously, is our superintendent, if village council wanted them to attend one of our meetings and discuss the school. I know we've had that discussion in the past where, although we are separate entities and remain that way, that in a lot of ways we have several common interests. But I just wanted to offer that up to you.
Sure. And again, I would share that obviously Superintendent Frank does talk to me regularly. He had spoken to me when they first started to discuss the specifics of what they were going to agree to. Then he just spoke to me, I think about a week ago, once they actually secured an agreement. The agreement itself that they're agreeing to has little or anything to do with the issues that we've been discussing. What it relates to specifically is the land area that's included in the agreement. It allows it to be transferred from Green Local School District to Worcester City School District. And again, too, it only is that land, and it only transfers school districts as far as jurisdiction. The reality is there's no students in that area. But what it does allow to happen is, as I understand the agreement, as he has explained it, is that Worcester will begin to collect taxes at their tax rate for that area. So those property owners will pay at Worcester's rate. The agreement, though, does protect Green Local in relationship to whatever their millage is as to the property valuation that is there, and then the generated income that would come as a result of that. So meaning that Worcester then will reimburse or pay Green Local School System for the amount of revenue that they would have earned on that property. Obviously, if it were actually in Green Local District. So for Green Local, there was no risk relative to them in relationship to money. And again, too, obviously, I believe that there had been obviously a lot of issues relating to that specific question with them. And obviously this will put that to rest for this portion of the property, which means then that obviously they will minimize obviously legal expenses that were related to it as well. So again, that's basically, what it entailed. Again, too, obviously our issue and the argument that we have made is relative to what would be facilities planning area. And that's specifically as to who would provide sanitary sewer services to a given area. Worcester would like the lines to be moved and to take a portion of land between us and Worcester that would actually currently be served by us by EPA rules. And obviously we're opposed to that. One of the conditions we had was that we would want them to obviously hold harmless grain local. But the other issue that we also had with that land is that we would like to see that are an agreement that if any land were to be transferred into their FPA, that they would agree that they would not make further requests eastward towards the village. We believe that, that we deserve and should expect there to be a buffer between the two communities. Because again, too, what they're requesting would take them to Smithville Western and Guyers Chapel, which if you look between Guyers Chapel and Honeytown, which is roughly the distance between the village limits and the proposed area, it would be just a little bit over a mile. It's been our belief that we believe that we deserve at least that distance between the two communities. But again, they do communicate with us, regularly as far as issues. There's a number of obviously common interest issues that we talk about. But again, too, I do appreciate that. If council would like, I know they would be more than welcome to. But from my perspective, like I say, they've kept us updated from the perspective of what they're doing and why. So are there any questions from council? Or if, if council has a desire, I have no problem with extending an invitation as well. And if there isn't, then I think we'll move on. And the next item, yep.
Tom, before we move on, I just want to say, while we're in new business still, I think, I registered for Sunshine Law training on behalf of all of council, the mayor, Pam, and the BPA.
Okay.
So that'll be taken care of.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I'll let you guys know how exciting it is.
And Beverly, if you would make note of that as well for the permanent record, please.
Yes, please. Auditors actually look for that, so thank you.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate that. And then again, too, if there's nothing else under new business, I'll move to liaison reports and we'll go to equipment and Scott.
Yeah, I'm happy to report. Mike indicated that the skid steer was no longer in our possession. I know last time, perhaps in between this time and that time, there was some question about the buyer, but that sale has been finalized, and there was one minor maintenance issue with one of the village pickup trucks, but it sounds like that's been fixed, and that was all I had.
Okay. Moving on, then fire, Larry.
I had nothing tonight, thank you.
Okay. And I have nothing else for police at this point. I do have a few things under mayor's report, but I'll do that later. Moving on then into Veterans Memorial. Joe.
Happy day. I've actually got something to put in this one tonight. We are in the process of planning Memorial Day parade. Right now, the expectation is that it will be on Memorial Day morning, starting off at 8:15. At this point, the planned route would be starting off at North Milton, turning onto 585 North, and then heading up towards Memorial and into the park. Been in touch with Chief regarding police department's assistance with traffic control and participation in the parade. So that part's in progress. I've also been in touch with Matt and the parks regarding us utilizing some of the bleachers from there in the park for the ceremony after the parade. But yeah, so right now we're pretty well into getting all of that organized, and we're expecting that to go off. Should be without a hitch.
Okay. Any questions for Joseph?
Regarding that parade, Joe, would you say that so youth sports organizations or other groups would be welcome to be in the parade, or?
Yes. So right now, the expected participation, other than keynote speakers, they're reaching out to the band from the high school, as well as the choirs, planning the bike parade as part of that as well. But if there are other organizations who would like to participate, they can certainly reach out to me or someone else on the Veterans Committee and can look into that.
Excellent. Thank you. Yes, I'll be in touch with you here offline.
Sounds great.
Hey, any other questions?
Mr. Mayor, they did ask if you are available that morning. The committee would certainly love to have you participate in the parade and be there as well. So if you are available, they'll have a special spot set aside for you.
All right. Yes, I should be able to be available to you. Okay. If there are no other things for Joe, we'll move on to Parks and Trees and Matt.
Yeah, just let council know that we had the online park survey for the community just posted to the village website today by Crossbridge, our website coordinators. And so folks can start filling those out. Folks in council and others want to let your neighbors know that it's there. Appreciate that. And there'll be other means of getting the word out that will go out over the next week as well to different organizations within the community and postings in the park and at the hall, and will be one of our first messages on the digital board, the sign in front of the hall as well. So, and that'll go till the end of the month, and then we'll collect that data in June and go from there. That's it for me.
Okay. Any questions for Matt? If not, we'll move on to Streets and Sidewalks and John.
Again, as quickly as I can, Mike and Adam have been out with the Durapatcher just so far on Northeast Street, but we'll continue with it as weather and mowing, as Mike put it, allows. The 2021 street project will now involve Parkview Drive, Parkview Circle, Jane, Charles, and Dan. These are all on Melway's list to be patched and chip and sealed. There's no date as of today. Striping will be done on these, and along with Smithville Western. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Any questions for John? If not, go on to Tricia or Finance Personnel. Is there anything?
No, I
you
have nothing.
Okay. Then moving on into mayor's reports. I also did forward to you tonight a copy of 2 letters that was received by myself from the EPA. Again, I just give it to you for information. Obviously, the one is basically what they would call recommendations. And then there was a secondary letter, which they listed as violations. As you look through it, most of them are, I guess, like I say, the first one was reporting specifically how it's being reported. That's something that we're going to change, obviously, and begin to record as I've indicated. Also, too, the second one was about sampling and where the sampling is done. One of the challenges they gave us was to find a specific type of home. The only challenge that we find is we don't know that there's any to fall between the years that they're asking for in relationship to what they're looking for. But again, too, we will respond to that. That's something that the operator themselves submits. They had submitted a new list for consideration, but they're still asking us to find homes that fit within the criteria that they have. So we'll continue to have discussions on that. The other things that they mentioned in there too also was they talked about as far as us maintaining, and they specifically related as far as the tank, the water tank that we're going to be removing. Again, too, it was intentional on our part not to continue to maintain the tank once we made a commitment to a new tower. We're going to respond to that in that same way. But again, too, I thought I would bring it to council's attention. Even the one out the well field, as far as the casings, we had Ohio drilling in doing all kinds of work. They had not brought anything to our attention, but we will have them back out and review and make a recommendation relative to that item. And I think the last item on there that you probably will be seeing something we are aware of, so we'd already asked Jason and he did provide to us, is obviously we're going to have to implement a backflow prevention policy within the village that would apply to like manufacturing, commercial type buildings, that there be a requirement that they have a backflow on the inside of their meter, just on the building side of the meter, that would prevent, if we were to lose pressure in the system, from water flowing from that facility back into the public system. And again, too, it's something that we gave to BPA. They're looking at what's been done in Orville. They will bring a recommendation to council, but also as part of it, now that it's in this letter to us, we are actually are going to need to bring a company in as a consultant to do a survey. So again, we've already begun that process as well. But again, I wanted to make you folks aware of those. Again, the ones that are recommendations aren't necessarily something that we do. And in some cases, the one particularly wasn't practical at all from the standpoint of the ability to do it. But if there's any questions, you'll be welcome to address them to me. But BPA obviously was copied on it as well. So any questions on that? And again, as you look at it, if you have any questions, you would be welcome to ask. So the other items I thought I would touch base on and mention to you as well. A couple of them would pertain in relationship to the police department. Again, too, just so you're aware, obviously the chief has been in discussions with Green Local relative to their agreement that we have in place relative to the school resource officer position. It is something that they do contribute towards that cost. They've been discussing a 4-year contract. So again, that will be something as the entities come to an agreement on the specifics of, it will be brought back to you for an, obviously an approval. The other item that Chief Barnett had brought to me and has begun some research and looking into is the possibility of our police department having an agreement with Green Township. And again, too, there have been some initial discussions with them. But again, that would be an item that may eventually come to you folks for consideration. And at that point in time, obviously you would have the opportunity for input and to have your questions answered. And again, regarding that, the reason I wanted to bring it forward is because obviously they've had some discussions with Green Township. And I didn't want any of you to hear, apart from me, that there are some discussions and for you to wonder why you hadn't heard anything. So as we begin down that, just as I have done with other things here, as we continue to develop anything, there will be opportunities and we'll bring that. But I just want on the front end share with you that it is something that's in discussion phase. I think those are the only things that I can think of at this point in time that I probably need to bring up to you as far as things within the village. They're happening. The water tower continues to move forward. They're making really good progress on that. And again, with very little issues, which is good news as well. Because thus far, I think there have been very minimal, obviously, additional costs beyond the actual bid. So we should be in good shape there.
On that, when
Yeah.
is the new water tower operational? Do we have
It's going to be for year end. I do have that schedule, but I can't tell you that off the top of my head, Jason.
All right, that's
and
fine.
I can send that to you. I know they have timeline on everything, but I can't tell you without looking at it again. I know by year end, supposedly everything will be completed, including the demolition of the old tower.
Okay, that's
again,
good
what I
enough
would
for me.
Okay, I'll look at it and I'll give you more specific what they show. Okay. Anyone else? Any questions for me? If there aren't any, then we'll move on into, I believe you were given a bill list this evening. And I would entertain a motion and a second to approve bills.
Motion to approve the bills in the amount of $36,374.93.
Second.
Okay. We have motion and second to pay bills. Any discussion or questions on the bills? Hearing none, roll call.
Eicher,
Yes.
Mullins,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
there is Thorne,
Yes.
Allen,
yes.
Haas,
Yes.
All right, is there anything else that needs to be brought before us this evening? If not, then you'll see the future meetings are May 10th for the BPA. You're welcome to come. We meet at 6 p.m. Then council meets again on May 18th at 7 p.m. And the next meeting will be June 1st, 7 p.m. If there's nothing else brought before council, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn the business meeting.
Second, Thorne.
Okay, we have motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. All right, well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.